welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Glory and you are welcome to Practical Christian Living. If you are just joining us for the very first time on this channel, please allow me to specially welcome you on board. It's nice to have you here and I hope you have a good and enjoyable experience on this channel. So straight to the point, straight to the discussion for today. So over the past couple of weeks, if you are just joining us for the very first time, we've been considering salvation series, what it means to be saved. We've also considered questions like, what is the evidence of my salvation? How do I know that I have been truly saved? One or two. Maybe you can catch up on the previous videos to know what we've been saying so far. So we're going to be wrapping up the salvation series this week. That's with the close of the month, but the good news is that we'll also be going further into so many amazing and practical things in the faith, and of course, as the need may be or as the need arises, we will revisit this matter. Yes, so I figured what other better way would be to close the series than telling my own salvation story. So as you rightly suspect from the caption, it says from heartbreak to true love, from heartbreak to Jesus's arms. Yes. Whoosh. Okay. Normally, when telling a heartbreak story, I'm not supposed to be, like they just served you breakfast. I'm not supposed to be smiling. But please, it's been 6 years and all of that is in the past. But I feel the story is necessary because it was the immediate thing that happened, the immediate occurrence that happened before I met Jesus, and that is why it is necessary for this story. Plus, I believe that so many young people out there, so I'm a young person, so please, so many single and young people out there are probably having similar experiences, or going through one or two, and they just need something to relate to, something to encourage them. Yes, so here it goes. So sometime in 2016, I had been in this relationship. That's my last relationship. I had been in it for like about 3 years, thereabouts. Let's say maybe 2013, 2014. But I'd been in the relationship for like 3 years, thereabouts. So 2016, the relationship had a whole lot of bad goals that were not just adding up and all of that. So 2016, at different points in my life, I felt God nudging me, reaching out to me, and just drawing me to come. And at that time, I was a very, very backsliding Christian. In fact, I wouldn't even consider myself saved, but for the sake of one or two protocols, I'd describe myself as a very, very backsliding Christian at the time. I was just doing my own things and all. So 2016, I began to sense God reaching out to me in my heart, and I knew it. Like, see, like anybody God reaches out to, you must know. Like, there's just this knowing in your heart. Maybe if you are doing something wrong, there's just this. Maybe there's where your conscience will just start judging you, or maybe I just don't know how to explain it, but if you've experienced it, you know what I'm trying to say. So I felt this nudging in my heart. I felt God was prompting me, reaching out to me, and all of that. But the only thing that was standing in the way, the only thing that was getting in my way was that relationship. Like, it needed to go for God to come in, and that was clear. And I remember at so many times, the Lord would probably send an angel my way, to drop one or two hints for me, to drop one or two highlights for me, particularly with the relationship. I didn't have to put in so much effort to go all investigative journalist and all of that. I would just literally be on my own, and it's like an angel or something would just throw a clue my way or throw an evidence my way to let me know that, see, things are not well, things are not going on well, and see, you are headed in the wrong direction, you're headed in the wrong path, and all of that. It kept going on like that. And one vivid one I remembered was I had a dream, more of a vision, because it's still very vivid in my head. I had a dream where the person I was in a relationship at the time, in the dream now, he was getting married. It was a wedding ceremony and he was getting married to someone else. I was at the wedding ceremony, but I wasn't the bride. And so at the time I didn't make so much of it. At the time I reached out to him and I was like, hey, see, oh, this was a dream I had and all of that. I saw you were getting married, but I wasn't the bride and everything. And you're like, I beg Jerry, it's just a dream and whatnot. And me too, I don't know if to say out of the foolishness of my heart or just naivety, I don't know. But I swept it under the carpet, and going forward, like the following year, just a few months after the breakup, that actually happened. But I felt God was trying to save me from the greater damage that was lying ahead of me. He was trying to save me from all of that, but I wasn't, I was slow. I was really, really slow at that, just taking my time. So I think after that vision, going forward, I was still feeling the prompting, but it was getting stronger. Like as the year progressed, going towards the end of the year, it's like the promptings got stronger. Then I remembered sometime November 2016 there about, yeah, me and this person, we broke up. Yeah. So at the time I was like, for me, I was like, okay, maybe I could maybe now, since we've broken up, I can't remember what even happened, or like, okay, since we've broken up, maybe I could just use this opportunity to focus on God and all of that. And I remembered one other vision that the Lord showed me. I was still in my backsliding state. I only had the thoughts of, okay, maybe I could finally come to God, but I was still in my backsliding state. So I remember one other vision the Lord showed me that time. I was in a hospital, the operation theater of a hospital. I was there and it was total darkness. So like there was no light. You know how all those horror movies usually go, where it's a hospital, all the lights, total darkness. There may be somewhere down the hall, you'd see a light flickering until it goes off. So it was that kind of setting. So because of the flickering light, I knew I was in an operation theater, and because of the instruments, the tools that were around, the tables, the operation tables and whatnot, I knew that was the setting. Then it went pitch black, like total darkness. And so I was groping around, trying to find my way, but then I'll bump into maybe a table and fall on the floor. I'll bump it. I just kept bumping into and stumbling into things and falling on the floor. But it seemed that I was the one stumbling. Then it also seemed like there was a dark force, like this darkness pushing me on the floor. It kept pushing me. And the final time that darkness was going to push me on the floor, it was going to engulf me. It was going to consume me completely. And in a split second, this figure, the figure of a human being in light, like a light but human being form, appeared from nowhere. Like it just appeared and then came and bent. I was on the floor, came and bent over me and covered me. And there was just this warmth, like the atmosphere changed for me. There was just this warmth that consumed me. Instead of the darkness, it was light that covered me. And then I remember the being now, that's the light being, turning and talking to the darkness to leave me alone, to go away. So he spoke to the darkness and the darkness left, and all I remember was light. So having to come out of that was a defining moment, a redefining moment for me in my life. Like, see, I didn't need a prophet to tell me that God was interested in me. And from that moment, going forward, I still wasn't taking everything serious, like the whole God thing. Now I wasn't taking it seriously. The relationship was on a break. I was alone, but I just still kept doing one or two. Then towards the end of the year, now it was on the 31st of December 2016, I made up my mind finally that, look, I'm going to get serious now. it is God or nothing. Everything, every baggages, whatever is gone. Like I started, God started exposing me to scriptures, and I started seeing my reality in Christ. Guilt, shame, all of that started going away, started leaving me, and I decided, okay, I was going to do this. So at that point, 31st December 2016, me and my ex now, we had briefly come back together to just maybe give the relationship one more try and all of that, even though I knew what God was telling me. So on that 31st, we sat down in the car talking, and I presented it to him. I said, I want to take this God thing seriously. I feel God has been drawing me, prompting, and so that means so many things that we had to do in the past and all of that, they had to stop. I just want to focus on God, and I'd really like if we do it together. And okay, I don't know if I particularly asked him if we're going to do it together, but the reason for me even telling him was to see maybe if we could do it together. And there was this cough on his face, like, okay, I support you. This kind of look where people, when you tell somebody, or there's, I don't know, there's just this, okay, like, just do your thing. And he was like, don't worry, I'll support you. And for me at that point, I knew this was like, that the relationship didn't have any future. Because already, if I sensed that God was drawing me in this direction, and of course this person didn't even have any interest in it, there was no way, like, can two work together except they agree? Like, there were just going to be so many clashes along the way, but I didn't mention it. I just let it go, and okay, no problem, let's just see how it goes. And I got serious with God. I had another redefining moment for me when I came in contact with scripture, and I truly now received the life of Christ. Everything, like, there was this whole transformation. And I'll probably say, for me, I'm one of those people that just had that overnight transformation that happens. I was one way before, and now I'm an entirely different way right now. I'd probably say I'm one of those people. So that was it for me. I got serious. So going into the new year of 2017 now, that was the year the main like everything kicked off fully. I remember while I was trying to, at the point when I started, I was just trying to figure out things by myself. That's doing Bible study, praying on my own. I didn't really have a community of believers around me, or rather, my eyes were not yet opened to see the community of believers that God had placed around me yet. I was just doing my thing solo and all of that. Then I remember coming across a Facebook post one day. I was scrolling on Facebook, and I remember coming across a post, someone's salvation experience. He shared his story. It was his birthday, and he shared his story. Okay, the person is Pastor Joshua Kesena of Celebration Church International. Yeah, so he shared his salvation experience, his story of what had just happened to him and all of that. And prior to that time, like, I'd known him, like, known his name, because we all went to the same secondary school. So I'd known about him, known that this person was a very, very bad boy. And even him, in the story, he had explained how he was such a very terrible bad boy, breaking so many hearts, disappointments here and there, doing one or two things and all of that. And the way God captured him was such a, how God captured Paul on his way to Damascus in a very dramatic mood. It was, he didn't go blind. Now, Pastor Jackie didn't go blind, but it was a very, very dramatic experience. And I was really intrigued because his experience, the story he was sharing, was within the same period I was experiencing mine. Just that I think his came a month or two before mine. So I was really interested in seeing, okay, who is this person also experiencing similar things, also going through the same experience I'm having and all of that. And I so much enjoyed his testimony. I enjoyed what I read, and it just made me realize that, look, see, this thing that you think you are experiencing, this thing, this path that you think this journey that you think you're about going on, you are not alone. God is also reaching out to other people that are probably even way worse than you. God is also reaching out to them. So it made me realize a whole lot of things. And that period, I then realized that I needed a community of a community of believers around me, like similar people that I could share, because some crazy things had already begun happening to me, and I didn't want to have to start maybe telling one or two people and they think I'm going crazy. I needed to speak to people that could relate to my experiences and all of that. But at the time, I hadn't prayed yet. I hadn't asked God yet to bring in a community of believers my way. So that same early 2017 January, I wasn't still in a relationship. So January, February, thereabouts, towards the end of January 2017, my ex resurfaces, and or rather we got talking again, and we both decided to give the relationship one more try. Now this is somebody that God is helping. God has said, leave this relationship so that you can focus on me. Leave this relationship so that you come into the next level of your life and all of that. It's still the same me that now went back into the same relationship to give it a try, thinking, okay, maybe we can just make one or two things work. And the final breakup that happened, like, see, God is not that kind of God that you think, because he's drawing you, you just want to, you say, let me go and do my own thing, and he'll just stand by looking you, sending yourself into destruction. No, he's going to reach out to you. He's still going to chase after you. He's still going to reach out to you by every means possible, as far as it's going to save you from whatever danger that lies ahead. I think sometimes as human beings, we get just so stubborn and we refuse to listen to God, but he's always coming after us. So I remember I went back into the relationship. It wasn't this time around, the relationship didn't last up to a week, and God was still reaching out to me. So the reason we broke up was a very minor thing, but now thinking back on it, I just feel God was the one that orchestrated everything. It was over a Facebook post. The person I was in a relationship with, he had this friend that he really looked up to. This clique of friends, but that particular person, he looked up to him. So scrolling on Facebook, I saw a post where this person and some of his gang, they came, and it was a religious post, and they just came talking bad about the Christian faith and all of that. And in my mind, I'm wondering, okay, all these people, we all claim to be Christians, so why are you coming to now insult the Christian faith? This one insults pastors and all of that. At that point, I was no longer in my backsliding state. I was coming to God. I was on my journey, the process, knowing God and all of that. So I just felt that was outright wrong. Like, why would you come and say so and so? You don't see people of other religions coming online to mock their faith or to talk bad about their religious leaders and all of that. So why you, as a Christian, on such a public platform? So I followed up. I wasn't interested in the conversation initially. So someone else came, I think a believer. He came, got on the conversation, trying to tell them, one or two, what they are doing is wrong and all of that. And they all came out for him, trying to, all these spiritual people, all this one, that one, that one, that. That was when, like, it was as if one knot in my head just loosed when I saw the thing. And I came on board. I came in defense of the guy, going back and forth, talking. I didn't know scriptures. I didn't know scriptures at the time. I was just a new convert, but there was so much zeal and passion to see that, look, this thing is clearly wrong. Like, even in my backsliding state, that was something I would have never done, come online talking bad about the Christian faith. How much more in my new state and all of that. So I came on board, talking, and I followed up the conversation with this particular person. I followed it up to the very end, and I made sure I had the last say. So everybody went their way after then. Then towards evening, no, it wasn't even towards evening. Later in the day, the person I was in a relationship with, he now came online, or I don't know, maybe somebody called him to go check online, and he came and he saw me going back and forth with his friend. and everything. And then he called me, going all back and forth about why would I talk to his friend like that? I should go apologize and everything. And for the very first time in that relationship, I stood up for myself. I didn't just stand up for myself, I stood up for a cause that I believed in. And I said, no, what this person did was wrong. And I am not going to apologize. And my ex now was not trying to threaten me with the whole relationship and whatnot and all of that. I'm like, okay, fine, if that's going to end, no problem. If it's going to end things, no problem. So we once again had a breakup. Relationship that we just came back, it was not even up to a week, we once again had a breakup. And he later sent me a message that we can't be in a relationship, but it doesn't mean we can't remain friends. And me, I'm thinking in my mind, what am I being friends with you? I was not even thinking. I told him, I'm not going to be your friend. If I'm not going to be in a relationship, then I don't have any business being your friend. And then it, like, so much anger ended the conversation. I went, there was just so much anger. I cried. Like, I will not even lie. It's nothing to be ashamed about. I went and I cried. And it pained me so much because I was so much invested in that relationship. And I think one of my concerns was what people were going to say, particularly people that knew of that relationship. Like, so many people knew of that relationship. Even that's by the way, I was concerned of what people were going to say. I think maybe that was one of the biggest fears that I had, because already I knew, okay, the relationship ending meant that I could finally move on with my life, move on with God. But the concerns of, there are just these thoughts that just keep creeping in and all of that. Maybe people gossiping about me, people talking about me, maybe if I'm passing, people are just going to be talking about me and all of that. Those thoughts kept ringing in my head. But particularly, I was invested in that relationship, and I cried my heart out to God. I poured my heart out to God. I said that was going to be the last time that I was ever going to be in such a relationship. Telling God, okay, now he has my full attention. I'm sorry, I didn't describe this breakup as, how it's been 6 years. So the emotions are no longer there, but please just try to connect with me as much as possible. So I remember, like, I cried out my heart to God, just telling him he has my full attention now and all of that. No more. And I think maybe, I don't know if the relationship affected me so much. Like, since that relationship, I went 4 years, like 4 years straight without dating any other person. So I can't really say what happened. Maybe there were some love interests, but I don't know. I was just too occupied. I wouldn't say I didn't really have time for relationships. Like, for me, it was, I always said the next person I was going to date and meet was my husband. So any other thing that was not even looking like that, I wasn't interested. Like, I was not even interested in any other thing. But that's by the way. I thank God for God. So with the way I was invested in that relationship, I felt maybe the breakup, the cry, like the injury time should have lasted a longer time than it did. But I'm thankful to God that it was shorter than I expected, like 24 hours short. And I sensed God telling me, okay, now that you have cried out your heart, now that you have poured out your heart, now it's time to move on to important things. And that was how the journey just kicked off. I became, like, it was as if I was immersed into devotion. Like, my devotional life just picked up instantly, like nothing. Bible study, like, I was deep into the word, I was deep into prayer. I was even praying in tongues at the time, but in my understanding, like with English, I would pray for hours. Like, I was invested in Bible study, I was invested in prayer. Like, I had so many sermons and messages I was listening to. And at the time when I started, God didn't, I didn't come in contact with the Apostle Selmans them at first. God kicked me off with Pastor Rick Warren of Saddleback Church. Yeah, so I followed all their sermons, their services, their podcast. For me at that point, it was it was the side of God that was being revealed to me, and I just enjoyed and I loved every moment of it, every moment of it. And imagine that from that time till this point, it's been 6 years, and I haven't regretted any bit of it at all. I haven't regretted any bit of it at all. This is not to say that my life has been, rosy and all of that. There hasn't been one or two challenges here and there, but as time passes and as I grow, I've only come to know God better. I've only grown in the faith better. I've only known how to handle challenges better. I've only known how to, rest in God's love better, and so many of these amazing things. Another important detail that I left out, a time came when I needed a gathering of I needed to be in the gathering of believers, because it wasn't just enough that I did all of those amazing things in my closet and all of that. It was necessary to identify with the body of believers. So when it was time, God led me to all of the right places. For while I was still in school, my final semester, I identified with the students fellowship on campus, and it was such an amazing experience. I think I had so much love for that place. I kept wondering, why didn't I do this sooner enough? I remember one time I was in my final semester, my 400 level final semester. The president at the time was in 300 level, 300 people that were going to come into 400 level after us. He met me one day and he was like, he has never seen me before. That, what level am I in? I said I'm in 400 level. That, hey, that wine now. He was I was so much active in the fellowship that he was really hoping maybe there was I could get to do one or two things going forward. But it was so unfortunate that was my final semester and I was leaving. I had to, before I even identified with the fellowship on campus, I prayed, I asked God for godly circles around me, for godly company around me. And the very day I made that prayer in the morning, that same day at night, someone that I had only spoken with once in my entire lifetime, probably on Facebook and all. I just remember one time we exchanged contacts, but we spoke only once, and that was it. All of a sudden, this person reached out to me. He's a pastor right now. He reached out to me and he just asked, can I pray with you and everything. And for me, it was like, wow, I just prayed today, this morning, and God has already sent somebody sharply my way. I mean, instant. That beginning time was so, God is still amazing, don't get me wrong, but there's just these sharp things when you're a new convert. It's like, if you just cough, 10 angels will just show up for you. And now you have to go and pray. I'm just joking, Sha. But it has been an amazing experience. My life hasn't been void of challenges, but it's been very beautiful because I have Jesus in it. And I'm not even trying to fake any of this. It has been really beautiful, a really amazing experience. And that is why I thought to share with you people. So, if this has been your experience, please do well to share with me. I'm going to drop my email address, then maybe subsequently my WhatsApp contact. I'm going to drop my email address. Please email me, send me an email, narrating your own salvation experience. What was the thing that stood out the most for you in this story? And if you're currently going through a difficult time right now and you feel God is reaching out to you, please also do well to send me an email so we can see how we can work together to ensure that all that the Lord has planned for you comes to pass in your life. So once again, my name remains Glory, and today has been an amazing time with you, with God. Yes, so if you have been blessed by this video, please do well to like, to share, to subscribe, please, so that we can reach out to more people, gain more visibility. Until next time, God bless you.